I know, Jenkins, it's really great, isn't it? I sort of really went at it, tidied up the garage. I managed to get the Riley in, all the bikes in, latest acquisition, and I managed to sneak a new one in as well. I know, I've got room to stand and everything, but yeah, don't tell Mrs. Tweed. Shh, keep it quiet. Oh, hang on. Oh dear.
What the fudge? What's this?
What, this whole thing?
Don't give me this whole thing. Where did that come from?
Well, Dean and I were talking about bantams the other day, and we were looking at all the sort of things wrong with them.
Yeah.
And Dean was saying that when you look at something on a bantam, you think, should I repair it or just go and buy a Honda? So I went and bought a Honda.
So if Dean said go and jump off a cliff, you'd go and do that, would you?
Maybe. I think I'll leave it a couple of days before I go back down the house, Jenkins. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage, where in this episode we've got another project. Yeah, I know, can't have too many projects. Yeah, so this one I saw, liked the look of it, thought, yeah, I like the look of that. Went on YouTube and sort of watched a few videos of them. There's not many videos of them, and I like the sound of them as well. They sound quite good. So yes, here it is, this little Honda SS125. And yeah, we're going to have a look. Yeah, this way. So here's the latest addition to Tweed's stable, another waif and stray that I've sort of rescued. It's a nice little Honda SS125 from the late 1960s era. This is sort of registered 1970, but I suspect it's a sort of 67, 68 originally. Very attractive in its candy red paint. It has a pressed steel frame rather than tubular frame, and also a pressed steel swing arm, very similar to the Honda C90s that was still, you know, made up until recently, and some of the smaller lightweight Hondas had a similar arrangement. Yeah, and it looks rather nice. Follows along the lines of its bigger brothers, Honda Bentley and the Black Bomber, so the CV450 and the 250, and the Bentley was 125 before this. So it's in reasonable condition. The chrome's gone on the silencers, which is fairly standard for Hondas of this era. The exhaust didn't last very long. Saddle's in reasonable condition. It's got a few patches on it, but unfortunately, like all of the seat bases of a bike of this condition, it's getting a bit ropey around the edges, a couple of rust spots here and there. So let's zoom you into the cockpit of this fine small machine. As you can see, standard controls, and of the era, the sort of odd shaped Speedo follows on from its other brothers from the Honda stable. This looks a lot nicer. Because the Bentley and the Black Bomber were sort of criticised for their strange, very slab-sided, very angular styling, which sort of Honda went for at the time, whereas this is more traditional, saying it's got sort of 6,000 miles on the clock. Don't know how accurate that is, but I did drop off the Speedo cable at the drive end and pop a drill on it and wind it on the drill, and it is working okay. Actually, as you can see, it's working really smoothly, which is a surprise. Normally a bit sort of jerky when they get to this age. But whether the Speedo drive in the hub's working, I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll investigate deeper into that as we go through the bike. So then on the handlebars, we've got this nice aluminium switch gear, which typical Honda is really nice action. The right hand switch works okay. The left hand switch is a bit stiff, and I'm not going to force it. I'd rather sort of take it apart, clean it, and pop it back together rather than break anything. Horn button works okay, seems to work okay, but yeah, this switch needs a look at. So another little thing to do on the list. Clutch action is quite stiff. The front brake, yeah, the cable is seems to be seized solid on the front brake, so we've got no front brake at the moment. And the throttle action is a little stiff, shall we say. So that needs looking at as well. But it has been standing for about, well, it hasn't been run for about 10 years as far as I know, and it could have been even longer before that. But the bloke that I bought it off of has had it for 10 years, so yeah, we've got to go through it. I have heard it running. We won't be doing a does it run video on this because it needs some attention before we run it. And it has a scroll action throttle on it rather than a twist throttle. With these scroll action throttles, you can have the cable disappearing into the handlebars, sort of keep the control area clear of more cables than you actually need, but it's quite stiff, so that needs some attention as well. Tank looks in reasonable condition, apart from we seem to have a little bit of filler in the end here, a bit of a gooly dent going on. Obviously made somebody's eyes water, so that will need checking out later on. It's got its original acrylic badges on the side and its knee pads, and all looks the part. Looks really nice. Slanted forward engine, as following on from its larger stable mates, rather than the upright later twins that Honda produced. The rear shocks look a bit greasy, look okay. Spokes are yeah, quite rusty. They ring okay, but yeah, the rims have gone, the chrome on the rims have gone, and the spokes could probably do with a new set of spokes. I'll probably have to get some made because they're a sort of odd size, and I can't seem to find enough of them in stock to build up a full set. And like the Bantam, it's not just Bantams that are prone to cracking their rear mudguards. There's a sort of crack on this one under the tunnel for the cable. Has a sort of crack running around it, but it's cracked around what appears to be a strengthening plate underneath the mudguard to help support the light fitting. But it's quite a big light fitting on there, so you also get some frequency issues with the light vibrating and causing fractures on the mudguard. So another little thing to look at. So again, front wheels sort of okay, chrome's gone, hubs look okay, and spokes are a little bit corroded. Forks are painted with a bit of corrosion to them, and the chrome's sort of gone on the headlight surround as well, so that'll we'll try and look for a new one of that, because it sort of does let it down a little bit. It's been painted, it's quite pitted, but it seems to have all its original indicator lenses and headlight lens marked up as Stanley, but that is a sort of Japanese company, but an unusual name, sort of, you know, an Anglo-Saxon name on Japanese parts. But yeah, Stanley lenses on the indicators, headlight and rear indicators and brake light. Fork tops, bit of corrosion on the chrome bolts on the top, all in reasonable order. Chromes have gone on the indicator stalks, and the backs of them aren't too great, but the alley looks good, and the fork gaiters are unfortunately split on both sides. And having a look inside, the chrome looks okay, seems to have survived, but digging around near the bottom there is a pit, a couple of pits on one of the fork legs. Still got its steering lock on it and its original horn, an unusual horn with sort of plastic cover over the top of it. And here's the other side, as attractive as the previous side. You also notice it's got an exhaust this side, so this is a twin cylinder motorcycle of yeah, diddy little piston proportions. And you can see here again the canted forward style of the engine, unusual on the later Hondas where the sort of cylinders were more upright. And Italian folklore, sort of Italian bike lore, is that sort of Honda copied Laverda, and they're 650 twins of the 60s. But actually Massimo Lavada, the son of Mr. Lavada, wanted to build a parallel twin, and he used the Norton 650 SS and a BMW R69S as inspiration, but also he used the Honda CB72 77 Supersport as design cues for his new parallel twin. So yeah, so it's actually Honda that come up with this design first, and he also copied the or adopted the sort of slightly over square bore to stroke ratio. On the 650s it was 75 by 74, where this little dual has a bore and stroke of 44 by 41 and produces 13 horsepower at 10,500 RPM, so quite a revvy little thing. And I've heard it running. It wasn't running very well, but I just heard it running enough to know that it ran, and then we stopped it there because it was chucking fuel all over the place. It was flooding and just, yeah, fuel was running everywhere. So it does run, it does start, but it needs looking at. And other vital statistics are its empty weight is about 235 pounds or 107 kilograms. Maximum speed, allegedly 74.5 mile an hour. I should imagine that's with a sort of little diddy person on top. And fuel consumption is, this is imperial gallons, 183 miles at 24.84 miles an hour. Absolutely sips the fuel. It has 6-volt electrics and a 4-speed gearbox, so an extra gear compared to the Bantams, with a usual wet clutch. Push drive on the rear sprocket to smooth it all out a bit, and with its red metallic paintwork, silver tank and mud guards, and chrome exhausts and all the chrome trimming, it must have looked something else in the showrooms when they were new at the end of the 60s. Lovely shade of red metallic. They also done it in a blue metallic as well, which was quite common across the Hondas of that era. But yeah, a lovely looking thing, and I decided I couldn't leave it behind. It needed adopting. And they do sound good when they're sort of on cam. They sound like they're going really fast, although you're sort of not going very fast at all with that sort of high revving engine. Yeah, they do sound good. Unusually for sort of bikes of this era, it's got a KEI-HIN CV carburettor, like constant velocity carburettor, so it sort of has a diaphragm above the carburettor, and the it doesn't actually have a butterfly throttle. It's sort of reliant on the pressure being released above the diaphragm, and with the increasing air rushing in the intake past the slide, it sort of forces the slide upwards, so sort of opening your throttle for you, sort of like a semi-automatic throttle. There's problems with this carburettor. Either the float needle's stuck, or there's a problem with the float. Got a hole in the float because it was sort of throwing petrol all over the place. You know, when we tried to run it, it's also missing its connection between the carburettor and the airbox. And also there's this sort of loose piece of mesh in the mouth of the carburettor, so that needs looking at. We don't want that disappearing into the engine, sort of causing any more damage. The throttle's a bit stiff, so I think it may need a new cable. Another problem I found is the sort of had it running, but whether it was running on 1 or 2, I don't really know. It was pretty smooth, but discovered when I got it home and had a look at it, the HT lead's fallen off of one of the plug caps, and when you look into it, you can't even see where the wire is. So if it was running on the other cylinder, it was a miracle. And then the view from the back is nice, sort of twin exhausts tucked down low, and Honda proudly emblazoned on the back of the seat, and a view from the front. Right, let's get this carburettor off so we can have a look and see what's going on with this flooding issue. Just remove the 10mm nuts each side, and hopefully the carb will pop straight off. Give the throttle adjuster a bit of lubrication and release the lock nut, and that allows us to unhook the cable. And there we go, one KEI-HIN CVC21HA carburettor, ready for the bench. So we'll remove the float bowl. Oh, we didn't get all the petrol. Hang on, bear with. So when he did start it for us, it was pissing fuel all over the place. Now, I think there's a problem here, either a bit of crap under the float needle. Let's remove that, take that out. Ah, no. There's the problem. Petrol in one of the floats. Can you hear it? There you go. Which one? This one, I think. Or is it this one? It's not too much of a problem. You can get pattern ones and genuine Honda ones of these, so that's not too much of a problem. So yeah, what else we got? Those gauze that somebody's soldered in. I don't know whether it's original. It's fairly mullered. I don't know if it's, yeah, it's definitely sort of soldered on there. Not sure if that would have been original, or maybe maybe it was and somebody's been here, because somebody's been in here. The tab washers have been disturbed on the choke butterfly there. What else have we got? Yeah, there's a load of crud in this hole. This inlet's completely blocked, so that needs looking at. And we'll get rid of this gauze. Yeah. Okay, and we'll take the another problem we've got is the mating surface, mating face is badly bowed. There, can you see that? You can see daylight under there. Let me get it. Trying to get this on the old camera lens is really tricky. Let's line you up there. Can you see? Daylight. So no matter how much you tighten these, you'd always get a bit of an air leak in the middle. So that needs sorting out, facing off, and a new O-ring on there. The spacer block looks alright, it's just a bit sticky, needs a good clean. Let's stick that in there. What else we got? Let's see if we can get these jets out. So remove the float jet block. And then the main jet. Try and split that. Yeah, it looks pretty blocked up. Now the main jet is clearish, but there's loads of crap in there. See if I can get the jet out of there. There you go. It's main jet. And then the idle jet. One idle jet full of crap. Okay. What else? We've got the idle mixture. So let's turn that in, see how many. Oh, turned all the way in. Obviously had problems with it. Yes, wound all the way in. So I've got a workshop manual on order, so hopefully we'll know how many turns to set it roughly when we put it back on. Spring. Okay. And the tick over set screw. Yep, it's all out of there. Take the O-ring out. Let's undo the top, see what we got in here. Take the spring clip off. Get as much off as we can. I don't know if there's a diaphragm in here. It'd be quite surprising if there was. Using the proper JIS, Japanese screw, Japanese standard cross-edge screwdriver, and they come undone straight away. Yeah, there is a spring under there. Oh, might have to read the manual for this one. Oh yeah, there's a diaphragm in there. Good grief. Move this bracket on the top as well. No, I'll stick them in the ultrasonic and give them a try afterwards. So there's your throttle lever. It's a bit like an SU carburettor with a sort of floaty bit in the middle, so it must just stop. The air rushing underneath must push the piston up, and this stops it going any further until you lift it up. Be very careful with this, Mr. Tweed. Diaphragm all looks okay. Okay. I don't think we're going to put that in the ultrasonic, we'll leave that to one side. Okay, so we got that, got the top, got the body. See if we can ease the gasket out of there. Here we go, let's get it off. Okay, so that's the main body of it. Get rid of this mesh. We don't want that being sucked in bits. We'll clean that up later. So we've got our bits, got this, and stick them all in the cleaner. Okay, so the carburetor's had a few hours in the ultrasonic cleaner, got it up nice and warm, and yeah, the results are pretty good. It's come up nice and clean. Got rid of all the corrosion on the outer surfaces. It took a few taking out and giving it a little poke every now and again. I mean, there's a little bit still left down there, but internally it's all very clean. All the airways and everything, fuel ways. Yeah, and when it did get it clean, this gauze that I thought was soldered in here, and couldn't work out how they'd soldered it in the mouth of the carburettor, discovered that it's actually on a ring, and it is, yeah, it's not a bodge, it is actually how the carburetors come. I've seen a couple of other pictures of these KEI-HIN carburetors with this mesh inlet. It was pretty mangled though, and there was danger of bits sort of flying into the engine, so good thing I've taken it apart. But what I'm going to do is unsolder these, and then, well, I've got a bit here, look, with my jets in. This titanium mesh I've used before, this stuff, Formula 1 grade, you know. I'll make a new mesh to go over there, some way of shaping it and getting it to fit nicely and to bend all the wires, some sort of press or something, and then solder a new gauze into the mouth of the carburettor or into this ring, and then that can be tapped back in there like that. So yeah, that's one thing we discovered once we cleaned it up. You couldn't see that this was actually a ring until you got all the gunk out of there. So that sort of pushed out with a screwdriver against those 4 tips there, just eased it out, and it come out quite well. It's just a push fit in there, so that's salvageable. The isolator block, I left that just soaking in petrol and got all that goop off of it, and it's come up all okay. It's not the sharpest of finishes, I must admit. I think a bit of a brush on the old emery cloth on a flat surface just to clean those faces up a bit. So yeah, that's done. That's the main body. That's the spanner. This is the jets. They come up really nicely. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, tiny. Can you see? Move everything closer, see if it focuses. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to see, but it's cleaned these all up a treat. And I haven't even had to sort of run a drill through them. There you go, let you see, bang through there, through the main jet, nice and clear. Yeah, so these are all cleaned up nicely, so they can go back in. This is the top that sits on top of the diaphragm. Cleaned up nicely, springs all nice. That's that bit, and then the float bowl. Hang on, I've got 2 carburetors here. I've been working on the Suzuki one as well. Had some work to do on that. What happened was I pulled off the fuel hose, and this brass inlet came off with it, and it just seems to be a sort of tapered push fit. Whether they use some glue early on or some Loctite type of thing to keep them in, I don't know. So turned a new brass one up, slightly longer, tried to copy the taper, about half a degree taper, and then sort of push that in on the vise with a bit of Loctite on, and that's in there nice and solid now. So that's that, a little bit repaired. Got to do a bit of work on this thread here. It's a bit mangled and a bit loose there. It has been Loctited before. I mean, we may just have to sort of clean the Loctite out of the threads and put a new bit of Loctite in, because it's not going to be coming in and out that often, but that needs sorting anyway. That's the Suzuki. I digress. So, and then this is the float bowl for the Honda. That's come up nicely. Put the drain screw back in, all ready to go. Now, I've been looking for parts for these. I can get new gaskets. I mean, this is okay, but could do with a new one, so I'll order a new one of those. Not so sure about the inlet O-ring, but I'll find an O-ring that will do the job for that. And the other thing is the floats. Yeah, they've still got petrol in. I managed to get petrol out of this one. As I showed you before, there's a tiny little pinholes there. Managed to blow compressed air across it and hold it so the fuel was at the bottom, and that drew all the fuel out. But there is still, let me run it against the microphone. There's still a lot of fuel in this one. You can tell by sort of balancing it, it tips over that way. But there's no sort of, well, you can see there's sort of a bit of moisture on the float, but it's not dribbling like it did come out of this one, so you could find where it was coming from. But you can get genuine ones of these, and you can also get pattern ones of these. So I might just get a pattern one, but could possibly have a go at trying to unsolder it. Have a look. Maybe we could repair it, or it will just fall apart in a pile of brass and solder. But if I could order a new one, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So yeah, so that's the float. So all ready to go back together. So let's do that before we lose all the pieces. So main jet in there. Tweak it up with the spanner. Do the jet up. That'll do. And then we've got the idle jet. Goes in there. Excuse the rain, it's a standard wet English bank holiday dribbling outside. hence we're in the workshop. Okay, and then we've got the needle seat for the fuel inlet, goes in there. Give a little tweak. Okay, we'll put the float back in for now so we don't lose all the bits. So we'll put in the float needle in there. It just rests on the foot, so rests on here, so it doesn't need to be hooked over like some of them. We can drop the float back in, pin on. There we go, float in. Yeah, and those are all top pieces. So what we'll do is we'll just pop the float bowl on for now so we don't lose it. Like that, without the gasket, and then assemble the top part. So, give this a wipe. Try to be really delicate with this, don't want to damage this diaphragm, because I haven't found new ones of these. You might be able to get them direct from the CARB manufacturer, but Honda spares people don't do them. Just clean that slide way up a bit. There we go, and then let's put the throttle stop in as well. So we get the slide all lined up. Put that in there like that. Might as well pop back the air adjusting screw for the idle mixture back in. I have found a workshop manual for it that I've ordered, but it hasn't turned up yet. So just for now, because this was wound all the way down to its base, we'll wind it down and then just undo it. Half, 1 and a half. So 1 1/2 seems to be fairly standardish settings for most carbs. So we'll leave that there for now until we find out what it should be. Then we drop this back in. So that's what your how your idle speed is set. You got the little screw there that pushes in and out, and it sort of rests against this sloped edge to lift the slide up or drop it back down. So that goes like that. That slide goes in. There's a little keyway there, just over there. I need to drop that in there. There we go. Pops down there. Pop the diaphragm back in its seating position, and then we pop the lid back on. Can only go one way. Like that. Bit of spring pressure with the foot pressing down on the slide, and then the 4 screws. 3 short ones, that one, and that one, and then the long one goes through. Deeper piece of aluminium there. That's it. And our JIS screwdrivers so we don't chew it up. There we go. So if I do that, if I do the idle adjustment screw in, Should see the slide go up like that. Opening it up, then we drop it back down again. There we go, so that all works okay. That's your choke there with a little reed valve air bypass in it there. Got all these clean. If you remember back, these were absolutely choked. That was choked with rust and muck and bullets in there, so that's all nice and clean. And there we go. Yeah, so the slide goes up nicely. And down. There we go. So, good job done. We just need to sort out an O-ring for there. And yeah, we really need to sort this face out here as well before we bolt it back onto the bike, and sort the float out. So, there you go. Carb cleaned, all back together, ready for action. So there you go, new project for the workshop. If ever I needed another project, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say this is what the subscribers want, Mrs. Tweed. That's what they tell me. So I just have to keep going and buying them. So you keep saying that, and yeah, I'll keep on with the projects. But there's more to come. There's more on the Honda. The parts have turned up since I've been doing this. So yeah, there's been bits going back together. We've been digging into it a little bit as well. Find a few horrors in there, or what horrors we will find. Yeah, there's one of the Bantam to come up. And yeah, the prevarication by buying other projects is the work I've got to do on the Riley. Got to drop the sump on the Riley, try and cure that oil leak on the oil pressure gauge outlet. So there's that to do, and sort the brakes out on it. Just trying to get them to run better. They're not quite right, they're dragging a little bit. So a bit of an imbalance. Want to sort that out, so there's that to come, you know, and all the other sort of usual engineering bits and bobs. What else? Oh, little Suzuki, got it running, going to get it insured, going to take it on the road, might even meet up with somebody else. Future features to come. And yeah, I think that's about it. So if you like the video, give us a little like and subscribe, like I said before, so you'll see all those goodies coming up on your screen. Okay? There you go then. Right, off you go. Bugger off. See you later. Bye. Quite nice, and a little... to see that. Come. Car. So, car. And car. So there you go, another project. So you have to look through there. That's it. Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.